Welcome back, everyone. Really excited that you're here to learn how to play the game Patchwork. It is a great roll and write game in which we are quilting together our own little quilts here, and it's got some interesting scoring mechanics. I think it's going to be great on the channel. So without further ado, let's dive into how to play. As always, guys, we are going to begin with setup. We want to make sure you have what you need to begin to play on the live stream. The one thing you're going to need is the template. This is the one that came with the game. You don't need to have that. Down in the description, down there in the doobly-doo, is a link to our template that we have for you to use. You can download that, print it off. You can download that, use that on your iPad with the editing tools. Your choice. And even if you want, you could just draw a 9x9 grid. That's all you really need for this game. So let's now move on to how to play. The setup for Patchwork consists of laying out 8 shaped cards and putting our sort of traveler here in between 2 cards. The first choice you're going to have to make in the game is in regards to these starting cards. You're going to pick one of them to place down in your grid anywhere you'd like. You can rotate it, you can flip it, you can do whatever you want, but it's got to go down in your grid. The next part of setup is we lay out 8 cards in this sort of circle pattern, and we definitely travel around it clockwise here. And once we have those laid out, this shows us the possibility of what's going to come out this round. That's all we need for setup. Now I'm going to dive into scoring. We want to know that before we actually know the flow of play, so you understand what we're aiming at. Now I've set up an example of a scoring round. There are 3 scoring rounds in the game. Each scoring round happens when 6 of these 8 cards have been used. And we're not going to know which 6 because we're going to move this guy by the roll of the die. And once 6 of the 8 have happened, we are going to score that round. We'll lay out some more cards and we'll do it again and again. Now, how scoring works is if this is what I had at the end of scoring round 1, you find a square. Like here, I could do this square. That's a 3x3. So let's draw that out, right? I could do this square, 3x3. So times that, 3 times 3 is 9. And then the continuing rectangle, I'd get 1 point for each beyond that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 plus the 9 is 14. Now a better use would actually be you find a square. So my square would be this 4x4. So that is 16. And then there was one more I didn't use. So that makes a total of 17. So that is the better one to use, so I will use that for my scoring. So that scoring, we're going to do that 3 times throughout the game, and at the end of the game, each empty square on your entire board is a minus point. You're going to add up your 3 rounds, take away your minus points, and that is going to be your final score. All right, now that you have set up, now that you understand how scoring works, let's move to the flow of play so you better understand how this game works. Here, for that setup, we had those 8 cards. We have a traveler off the board. Each round is going to begin with me rolling the die, and we got a 1 here, so the traveler's going to move 1 card. An interesting rule here is you don't have to draw the depicted picture. You could pass, and that is fine, but realize you're probably going to have less of your square / rectangle filled in when it comes to scoring around. So if you can, you really should probably try to place it. Jumping back here, here's our optional piece we're going to place. This card's going to be removed from the game after we place it. So I am going to figure out where on the board I want to place it. I'm going to choose here. So just for example, I drew it not connected to sort of reinforce the fact you can put these pieces wherever you want. We would just roll the die again, move the piece, this gets removed, and now we can draw this. The number in the corner of the cards is telling you how big the piece is. If the piece can be mirrored, it's showing you what the mirror would look like in the corner. all pieces can be rotated, mirrored, your choice. Again, you can place them anywhere you want on your sheet. The rules for placement are just as follows. They can't overlap any other piece and they can't go off the board. Again, you don't have to place the current piece, but you don't get any other substitution. You just don't place a piece that turn. And the round is going to be over when 6 of these 8 cards get played. That would conclude round 1 in this example. Round 2, round 3 would work the same. So we would finish the round, we'd score it, and we would set up for the next round. Here's how setup would work. For a new round, we'd place the 2 cards that weren't used in the previous round, and we would flip out 6 cards. Let me adjust this here so it all fits in. We would begin the round again. Traveling, placing, this gets removed, traveling again. We'd keep doing that until we get down to our 2 cards left, score again for the second time. On the 3rd round, there is a unique sort of piece when we get to the last round of the game where you actually have 3 cards left. We actually don't roll the dice. All of us get the option to place any of the remaining 3 on our board to try to optimize that sort of scoring and placement for ourselves. We have one more piece to discuss, and that is we have in this game 3 special power-ups, which we're going to dive into right now. Looking at our power-ups, they're right here in the corner, and we have 4 of them. The first one here is talking about the traveler, and instead of what this one's saying is instead of playing where he's at, you get to play one of the ones next to him, and this is instead of, not in addition. The next one is +1 square, which means this is in addition to drawing the current shape. You could also shade a square somewhere on your board. The last one here is that you can cut a piece into 2 parts. Now this is the key here. It can only be in 2 parts. So when you think of a shape, you got to think of ways in which you can cut that, and you would place one of the 2 parts. So let's look at some examples. This cut rule is one of the more tricky rules in the game. It is where you could make a single cut producing 2 different pieces. Here, this one, you could do a cut and make either that shape. You could make this shape by cutting that off. You could cut it there to produce kind of a 2 or a little L. Here is where it gets tricky. Here you could make kind of a corner piece like that. You could make a 2 and this L. However, you couldn't cut this way, producing 1, 2, 3 pieces. So you couldn't, out of this shape, get a single one because of how it works. You'd have to kind of put that line all the way across with that cut. That's how the cut works. You follow the whole line, and so in that case you'd produce 3 objects when you follow the whole line. So you're not allowed to do that. The last power-up is that you're allowed to use one of these 3 again. So this one is just a repeat of those, and that is all your power-ups. An interesting thing to note about the power-ups, you can use them at any time, even during the sort of scoring round if you had to. Let's say you knew this was the last play, you could definitely like fill in a 1, for example, during the scoring round would be how you'd use that. And that's it. That's how you play Patchwork. I can't wait to get this on the live stream. I think it's going to be awesome. As always, if you could give this video a thumbs up, I would love it. Pass this on to your friends, family, your students, because truly it is awesome when we get to play together and game together. It is a great way to find a little joy in the journey of life and learning. So that's all I have for you today. Can't wait to get this one up. Take care, guys.